People want pictures. I can tell. So let's look here. All right. So here you have all your stats actually with. So this would have been actually kind of like the handout. They would have given to ordnance officers and developers on this tank. It kind of shows you what it looks like and also just tells you everything up front. And of course, the pictures are all flipped around because why wouldn't they be? There it is. So it is interesting because the dates, as dates change, the name on the tank changes. So here, it's January 46, and it's T95. You see here on the bump on the front, basking in the sun gloriously. Now this picture, I want to get this blown up to like a wall-sized picture, like in my office someday, like painted on the walls. And here you go, Sophie. So not too far off from the drawings. We're posing with the tow cables all laced in the back. So eventually what we'll do is we'll try to get some appropriate tow cables and we'll actually lace it in the exact same way. That's what we want to do.
That would be so cool. In
fact, so if you're not tracking, eventually later this year, the T28 will be the first vehicle going into our new building. We have 100,000 square feet indoor climate-controlled space. T28 will be the first to go inside. We'll have to attach the tracks. And then our plan is once the vehicles start moving in, eventually also start painting bumper numbers and things on the vehicles appropriate. And I'll actually show you a picture of what we'll paint it as. So here you go, good layout showing all the onboard equipment. It's a spare track tools. And what's really cool, and they don't show it here. Actually, let me see if I go back. Okay, so here you go. And we figured this out accidentally, trying to get this tank ready to go to get repainted. So if you look back here on the outer side of tracks, you see how it's just like a little triangle here that attaches? All right. If you look, I'm not sure if you can see, these are little locks on the corners. I don't know if we're getting any lag or not. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So you'll see there's a little bit of locks here on the corner. So you take these locks off, and believe it or not, the entire inside of the outer side of track, this is actually a drawer that pulls out. I'm talking it pulls out like 10 feet, and those are toolboxes for the tank. And never knew that until we were getting, like I said, we were getting the vehicle ready to go. Yeah, going the right way. So we're getting the vehicle ready to go get repainted, and when we were getting those ready, one of those toolboxes came open, and it was still filled with tools. So that was really cool, and it hadn't been repainted at all. There was still original old olive drab in there. It had been repainted even when it was found in the bush. So a lot of people always wonder, why did the outer tracks come off? Here you can see why. So you take them off so you can get, so here, those are the toolboxes in the back. And the whole idea being these tracks come off for rail travel, or if you have some sort of transportation where you have to have it, on narrow footprint. This is what you do. And so the tank can actually tow its own outer set of track. And then that's why the vehicle then has the cranes on the side, if you ever look at, to actually reattach these. So yeah, so this is, like I was saying, this is the toolboxes.
What are the little arrows on that last photo with the outer tracks? What are those designating?
Oh. Here, let me flip around here, because you might actually see it before I do. Showing suspension hold-down connecting cables. So I guess you would put cables through there, I guess, to keep the suspension immobilized while you're towing it, it looks like. Interesting. That's what it looks like, suspension hold-down connecting cables. Might have to keep that in mind when we get ready to move them. So looking at antenna mounts, because tank's worthless if you can't communicate. And there you go. You got narrow little buddy with the T23, looks like beside it. And that's why you need the tank to be narrow, so it just fits on the rail track. Because if the tank was at its full width, it wouldn't even be able to be in a rail yard with any other trains, as you can see here with the T23 beside it.
Wow.
And that's pilot number 1, so that's ours. That's the one we have at Fort Benning. So there you can see it's showing how you would actually use hydraulic jacks to separate the two components.
The light died off again.
Oh, let me see here. There we go. Hey, now. cooperate. Yeah, I don't know why it's doing that.
There we go.
There you go. It's a little bit of a glare, but you can see then you would use these jacks here to, help push apart the tracks on the tank. Try to see here. Left side showing left outboard track being measured to determine amount of sag. How rude, measuring somebody's sag. Oh, here we go. Crazy complicated photos. So this is the GAF. So the Sherman tank used the Ford GAA, and this is your GAF, your GAF engine. Let me see if I turn off this light, if that'll kill the... There we go. Now we're back to normal. Showing all your gauges and everything else back there that you would have had for maintenance purposes and where you would check things. All right, what's the best way of doing this? Because some of these are upside down. All right, so here's your interior. And the interior, Sophie, you've been inside it. I think you would agree the interior is actually not in bad shape. It's not equipped like this, but I think it looks decent.
Yeah, absolutely.
The racks are all there and everything. So one day my hope is we can actually dress it out just like it looks here. But there you can see your SCR radios in the back. And then there's your ammunition. Like we discussed before, the 105 millimeter gun, your propellant casings are separate from your actual firing rounds. And then back here in the corner, tucked in there, really almost looks like an afterthought, and probably would get stepped on a lot, is the commander's seat. And then right here is the gun breech. And that's it. This is pretty much the entire fighting compartment, except for the driver's position, and then you'd have the gunner on the other side. Nope, already been through there. So turning your head slightly, so I believe, if I'm looking at this correctly, this is your driver's seat. So that's looking on the other side. So here you can see those are the rounds. They're not even huge rounds, when you look detached from the casing, but when you realize how much powder is going to be, throwing those outward, that whole mass times velocity. So you're going to get a lot of good velocity on that. Another look back at the radios. You even have what looks like a plotting board here. So if you needed to do possibly maybe an indirect fire roll, but you have for mapping things out. Again, looking back at the tank commander's position, comms box behind him. Looks more like a bunker than a tank, but really, if you think about it, it's kind of what it is. All right, so this is looking forward to your gunner's position. Also very, very simple. So my hope is we can make the T28 we have, the last one, make it look just like this someday. Then showing the stowage of the rounds, which they look similar to the 105 I have, but I do believe, I don't know. I'd have to check the length on those casings. I know I had the full dimensions on those someplace. It's more on the radios, Just further details on the radio layouts. So, okay, so here not only do you have the radios, but you also see some of the crew ventilation. So again, this is looking directly at the cupola or the commander to be saying. So you can see where his binoculars, his canteen goes. So this is it. This is your home as the tank commander. Another good shot. The radios, they really like the radios in this thing, man. Lots of pictures of the radios. And then there it is, getting towed. Dragon Wagon are always really cool, but that's just an amazing trailer, hauling it.
Does it look like the outer tracks are sticking off the side a little bit there?
They are.
Yeah.
They are. Just a little bit. I think the insides of them are, still on, because you can see it's obviously curving with the trailer, but yeah, it's definitely hanging off the sides.
It's a little scary, but...
And then we have here, I don't know if this will be visible or not on the, actually it looks pretty good on camera. So this is where my away photo that I was using comes from. So it's color. And so this is what I'm looking at getting the vehicle repainted as. And it actually says on Super Heavy Tank T28 on the cupola, has registration number markings and everything. So this is what I want ours to be painted up as. Not a huge amount of markings, but enough to make it look pretty cool. And then here are the infamous photos. These infamous photos, I will say the person shall rename nameless, posted these as an April Fool's joke, stating that this was the vehicle being delivered to Korea. And it caused quite an uproar that even to this day I have to deal with. And so, no, this is it. Just being loaded and unloaded on LST 1153, as it clearly says, in the Chesapeake Bay, only down the road from its home at Aberdeen Proving Grounds, and not Korea. Not Korea at all.
Would this have been just for the flotations testing and stuff like that? It wasn't.
Yeah, pretty much making sure that they could safely actually load and unload a vehicle of that size. Again, sure, the vehicle's not, going to be successful as a combat vehicle, but it's a fantastic test bed. Now, speaking of testing, this is, again, only my own theory. And, well, I shouldn't say my own theory, but other people who have been researching it. So the second T28 is believed to have been lost, it says, in a fire at the, I can't remember if it's the Yuma Proving Grounds or White Sands Missile Range. It's one of those places. Well, both places at the same time. I can't remember which location it is now. But anyway, the second one went missing in a place where no nuclear testing was taking place. And so sometimes I wonder if the second one was nuked to see how a tank that, because we did that quite a bit, nuke tanks to see how they would handle. And so I have to wonder if somewhere buried in the sand somewhere in Southwest America is a glowing T28. And 300 years from now when it's mutated and comes to surface as, Godzilla T28. It shall be our new overlord.
I, for one, accept our new super heavy tank overlord.
I was going to say, and I would gladly surrender. So, yeah, just making sure that, all of the ramps and everything else they would be using, the piers and stuff, pontoons, would hold the weight of the tank. And as you can see, it's definitely pushing down on it because you can see the water's come up and over. But it made it to the beach just fine. And then they had to reload it back up, which I'm sure was pretty nerve-wracking. If you especially look at that, it's just barely the width it needs to be. Obviously, this guy is a master in ground guiding. He knows what he's doing. And then towards the end of its operational life in 1951 there, that should be our vehicle, just in Aberdeen Proving Grounds before heading to Fort Belvoir. And that is it on the T28. So believe it or not, 3 volumes on the M6 medium. And only this single volume, which still, this is supposed to equate 8 pages in the firepower book. That is the T28.